wouldn't conceive of a line in any play if it weren't personal. See, the thing, a play, if it's a good one, distributes the author in all directions.
You mustn't tell me you've got people to see. I put 34 years into this firm. Now I can't pay my insurance. You can't eat the orange and throw away the peel. A man isn't a piece of fruit.
You lied about me, Marco. Now say it. Come on now. Say it.
Hey, I didn't bring him here.
Where are you at? I don't know where you're at.
Hey, I'm with you. I'm here with you.
Murder.
Oh, we both know. You tried to kill me, mister.
How may I live without my name? I've given you my soul. Give me my name.
You know, an artist is always watching the movie of his life. This is one of the strengths and the curses of being an artist. You're at one and the same time living and trying to objectify it. I love the city. It's the center of the universe for the moment. It always will be. Anybody who works in the theater, whether he admits it or not, is centered in New York. I used to push trucks on the 7th Avenue in 1932, 3. My father had businesses down there, and I worked for him.
Maybe a man's home ground is where he feels most free. For Arthur Miller, now in his mid-60s, winner of a Pulitzer Prize, author of many plays, home is this Connecticut farm. It is 95 miles north of the New York City he loves. With his wife, professional photographer Inga Morath, and their daughter Rebecca, he lives and works here. This film is the drama of the life of a playwright, told in his own words, a tour of Arthur Miller's home ground and the territory of his mind.
Most of what I've ever written has been written in the country. When I got out of college, I had no money and I was on the WPA for a while. I was making $22.77 a week and rented a house out on Long Island for $80 a summer. And I started writing out there. I always connected expanding and creating something with the country, not with the city. I've written in the city. From the earliest times of my life, I always wanted to live in the country for some reason. It may have been a throwback to ancient generations or something. I don't know where I got it from because nobody else wanted to do that. But it is a contrast in the sense that I lived and was brought up in Harlem and in Brooklyn. I love the city. It's like a village to me. I can hardly walk down the street in New York anymore without running into somebody who either knows me or who I know. I was born here.
I know that.
It's the top one there, number 6B.
You don't remember me, but I know you when I was a little baby. You used to give me nickels and dimes.
Harlem is maybe the most beautiful part of New York City. It's got the widest boulevards. It's the only planned part of New York, you know. You can see the length of Central Park down to Central Park South. The land rises to this point. It's a marvelous view. I spent the best part of my life around here. We used to go ice skating on the lake. We'd wait at the window for the red ball to go up, indicating that the lake was frozen. All the kids would be running out of these apartment houses. The spring and early summer, we would get fireflies and race them down from the 6th floor. Drop them out and have firefly races.
Then you'd hang out the top window there and look at all the terrific automobiles going by. There were great cars in those days. They were all different, about 40 different makes. Minervas and Dianas and Mercedes and Stearns Knights and Marmons and God knows what. This was the great 20s. Everybody had a lot of money, including us. There was a line of chauffeur-driven cars every morning at 7:30, 8 o'clock, right there. The men would come out looking very grave and businesslike as the chauffeurs tucked them into the back seats of those limousines to take them 18 blocks downtown. This church was the Yiddish Theater. My school was down on this corner, around this corner here on 111. And the great candy store was around the corner where we got 2-cent planes. They were beautiful apartments, probably. Those bays are a terrific place for a grand piano, and I imagine that's what was in them. Dick Rogers was born up here, and Oscar Hammerstein, and a few other people. It was just a solid middle-class place. It was the suburb. My mother and father went to theater. They saw all the big hits of the 20s and brought back the sheet music because most of what they saw were musicals. And she'd play them on the piano Sunday morning after they'd been out there Saturday night, bring back all sheet music, and we'd sing. I had a good voice, and I could follow the music quickly. My father traveled a lot for his business, so he knew all the vaudeville acts. I mean, he knew when they changed anything. And he'd listen to Georgie Jessel or Eddie Cantor or George Burns, and he could tell when they changed a joke or dropped one or put one back in. And I loved the vaudeville.
In your essay, I think, Shadow of the Gods, you said that the Depression was your book.
Right. Yeah. Well, it was my time, in the sense that when you're, let's say, 14, 15, you walk into a moment in history, that's your most sensitive moment of consciousness, I think. That's when the world is most inevitable, when you have least perspective on it, and consequently it reaches in deeper than anything else. Early on, for some reason, I decided to be a playwright. It was a form in which I could touch the walls, so to speak. Fiction always seemed to me to be boundless and uneconomical. See, I could do in a page of dialogue what it would take me 5 pages of description to do. And I felt the form instantly, as soon as I started to write dialogue.
It took me 10 years to get to my first success, which was All My Sons. It was untypical of the plays that I had been writing. I was around 30 and had the illusion that at 30 you had one foot in the grave. So I decided that if all my sons didn't succeed, then I didn't belong in the theater. I decided that every minute of it must work, and fortunately, it did.
The theater is an extremely dynamic medium, as is obvious, and it's a bit like a newspaper in many ways. Suddenly there's an issue which is imperious. It made to seem as though it's inevitable that the play should have been written like that.
I didn't like doing this, Dad.
I've always been interested in writing about the family, but also the family of mankind. In my own life, my family moved to Brooklyn because my mother wanted to be with the rest of her family. I, of course, loved the idea of going to Brooklyn because it meant wide open spaces. And there was one wide open space, and we were going to move into it. And our street was no different than it is now, excepting some of the houses are painted a little better, maybe, even kept a little better than they were. Of course, that was a depression. People didn't paint houses very much. But it is practically the same as it was.
The sound there is the Culver line going by to Coney Island in one direction. That's how I used to go to school. Or go fishing in the Atlantic Ocean at 3 o'clock in the morning.
One thing about this place, Avenue M and 3rd Street, that I'm confronted with is how similar it is to the street in Toronto where I was born, or streets I've seen in Montreal, Winnipeg, Los Angeles, London, Dublin. It is the all-common street in a way.
I've often felt in later years that there wasn't that mythological small town in Kansas that was the heartland of the United States. It was places like this. I think they enter the experience of more Americans than anything else. This is the neighborhood. This is where all the people ended up who, a lot of them, who wanted a better life, got out of a slum back in whenever, First World War time. And this was the ideal. When we moved here, we were in the country. I had tulips in the backyard here when I was going to high school. I used to dig up in the back there and dream of loam, but what you hit were tin cans and old shoes because it's all filled in land, you know. I planted the pear tree in the backyard here, which is now as tall as this house, in 1931. I planted an apple tree next to it, measuring the distance so that I could put a hammock between. Each one was as big around as my finger. The apple tree got knocked down in a storm, and the pear tree's still there, and I bet you it's still giving pears. This is Willie Loman territory. This place was devastated in the 30s. It was, the dread of tomorrow was palpable. People were quietly desperate. For a long time, you know, there was no government help at all. If you were out of a job, you went to Mama. We always thought the house was marked because they'd come walking down the street and end up here. They were desperate for a bowl of soup. And we were running a sort of, my mother was very soft-hearted with them, and she'd feed them. One guy came here and left about 12 years later. He moved in, that's all. Lived in the basement till my grandfather threw him out for being drunk once too often.
Willie Loman came out of the Depression, desperation. Why is it that he's still such a popular figure?
I suppose that underneath the reassuring surfaces of civilization is that big, deep crevasse that all of us know is waiting. And there's something in Willie that's eyeing the lip of that tremendous gap and trying to keep from falling in, and I guess we're all doing that in one way or another. A melody is heard played upon a flute. It is small and fine, telling of grass and trees and the horizon. The curtain rises. Before us is the salesman's house. We are aware of towering angular shapes behind it, surrounding it on all sides. Only the blue light of the sky falls upon the house and forestage. An air of dream clings to the place, a dream rising out of reality. Willie Loman, the salesman, enters carrying 2 large sample cases. He's past 60 years of age, dressed quietly. Even as he crosses the stage to the doorway of the house, his exhaustion is apparent. He unlocks the door, comes into the kitchen, and thankfully lets his burden down, feeling the soreness of his palms. A word sigh escapes his lips. It might be, oh boy, oh boy. Linder, hearing Willie outside the bedroom, calls with some trepidation.
Willie?
That's all right, I came back.
Why? What happened? Did something happen?
No, nothing happened.
You didn't smash the car, did you?
I said nothing happened. Didn't you hear me?
Don't you feel well?
I'm tired to death, Linda. Couldn't make it. Just couldn't make it.
Where were you all day? You look terrible.
Well, I got up as far as a little above Yonkers. I stopped for a cup of coffee. Maybe it was the coffee. The car kept going off the road onto the shoulder, you see.
Maybe it's the steering again. I don't think Angelo knows the Studebaker.
No, it's me. I'm going along 60 miles an hour. Suddenly, I don't remember the last 5 minutes. I can't seem to keep my mind to it. Damn arch supports are killing me.
Take an aspirin. I'll get you an aspirin, dear. That'll soothe you.
No, you see, I was going along. I was fine. I was even observing the scenery. Imagine me looking at the scenery on the road every week of my life, but it's so beautiful up there, Linda. The trees are so thick. The sun is warm. I open the windshield, let the warm air bathe over me. Suddenly, I'm going off the road. See, I tell you, I absolutely forgot I was driving. If I'd gone the other way, across the white line, I might have killed someone. So I went on again, and 5 minutes later, I'm dreaming again. I have such thoughts. I have such strange thoughts.
Kazan said that it was the only play he's ever been to where men wept, that probably the men in the audience were weeping because they felt they were seeing themselves. They were seeing a real person.
Sure.
Right?
But why? You see, they were seeing themselves not because Willie Loman, not because limitless facets of Willie Loman were revealed in the play. A lot of them is revealed. But because the situation in which he stood and to which he was reacting and which was reacting against him was probably the central situation of contemporary civilization. It is that we are struggling with forces that are far greater than anything we can handle, and with no equipment to make anything mean anything. Willie Loman is trying to write his name on ice on a hot July day. And it's tough to not feel that one is simply vanishing in smoke, that there is no value left behind, that anything one does has any real meaning. He's trying to create meaning. And I think that struggle is what creates a high anxiety in people, the fear that whatever they've accomplished is really gone with the wind, or that they haven't done what they thought they would do. It asks ultimate questions, the play does. And that's as important, if not more so, than the fact that Willie Loman is such a supposedly a character. If he were in a different play, I assure you, they wouldn't be weeping. They're weeping because the central matrix of that play is I say this modestly because I didn't engineer it that way, but it just happens to have been the central one of what most people are up against in their real lives.
I don't say he's a great man. Willie Loman never made a lot of money. His name was never in the papers. He's not the finest character that ever was. But he's a human being, and a terrible thing is happening, so attention must be paid. He's not to be allowed to fall into his grave like an old dog. Attention! Attention must be paid to such a person. You call him crazy.
I didn't mean that.
A lot of people think he's lost his balance. You don't have to be very smart to know what his trouble is. The man is exhausted.
Sure.
A small man can be just as exhausted as a great man. He works for a firm 36 years next March. Opens up unheard of territories to their trademark. Now in his old age, they take away his salary.
I didn't know that, Mom.
I've had letters from women who think that Death of a Salesman is fundamentally about the wife, and in a way it is. From sons who feel that they've misused their parents. I suppose the planetary encirclement of the family
An unknown.
is in there too.
Grateful pigs.
Are they any worse than his sons? When he brought them business, when he was young, they were glad to see him. Now his old friends, all the old buyers who always managed to hand him some order in a pinch, they're all dead. Retired. Used to be able to make 6 or 7 calls a day in Boston. Now he takes his valises out of the car, puts them back again, takes them out again, and he's exhausted. Instead of walking, he talks now. He drives 700 miles. When he gets there, no one knows him anymore. No one welcomes him. What goes through a man's mind driving 700 miles home without having earned a cent? Why shouldn't he talk to himself? Why?
Willie Lomans are everywhere and in every country. He has no other means of devotion than to this great god of his success. He sees success as being visible, being made up of objects, power. Maybe there is a question of whether what we do with most of our lives is not so stupid and beyond all remedy, namely, chasing after all the things that rust, which is what most people are doing most of their working hours. It probably is a repulsion attraction in the play, with our sense of the waste of our spiritual lives. When people have asked me what Willie was selling, what was in his bags, I can only reply, himself.
When I was 18, 19, I was on the road already. And there was a question in my mind as to whether selling had a future for me, because in those days I wanted to go to Alaska.
You don't say.
Oh, yeah. See, I was almost decided to go when I met a salesman in the Parker House. His name was Dave Singelman. And he was 84 years old. He drummed merchandise in 31 states. And old Dave, he'd go up to his room, you understand, put on his green velvet slippers, I'll never forget. And he'd pick up the phone and he'd call the buyers without ever leaving his room. At the age of 84, he made his living. When I saw that, I realized selling was the greatest career a man could wish for, because what could be more satisfying than to be able to go into 20, 30 cities, pick up the phone and be remembered and loved and helped by so many different people. You know, when he died, and by the way, he died the death of a salesman with his green velvet slippers on, in the smoker of the New York, New Haven, and Hartford, going into Boston. When he died, hundreds of salesmen and buyers were to his funeral. Things were sad on a lot of trains for months after that. See what I mean? In those days, there was respect, personality, comradeship, gratitude. See, today it's all cut and dried. You know what I mean? There's no chance of bringing friendship to bear or personality. They don't know me anymore.
For Willie, there is a God. He dies for that God. And that God is the God of most of us, I'm afraid.
Which is physical thing.
Yeah, making it. Willie is making it. And he's a real idealist about it. He really believes enough in it so that he really gives his life for it.
It's getting dark.
Nobody dares blame this man. You don't understand. Willie was a salesman. And for a salesman, there is no rock bottom to the life. He don't put a bolt to a nut. He don't tell you the law or give you medicine. He's a man way out there in the blue, riding on a smile and a shoe shine. And when they start not smiling back, that's an earthquake. And then you get yourself a couple of spots on your hat, and you're finished. Nobody dares blame this man. A salesman has got a dream, boy. It comes with the territory.
I search and I search and I search, and I can't understand it. I made the last payment on the house today. Today, dear. And there'll be nobody home.
To me, is the proof of democracy. There is no other city like it because there is no democracy like the American democracy. That's not a boast. It has its failings, too. We're the sloppiest people. It's the dirtiest city. People are irresponsible in the city. But the mix and the freedom in that city are, I think, without parallel in the world, as far as I know. And I think that's its greatness. It's that muscular aspiration. Its power is evident on its face. And it's also the American invention, after all. That didn't exist in the world until that city created it. But that means less to me what's on the sidewalk, frankly.
You know, the production of a new play, I've often thought, is like another chance in life. A chance to emerge cleansed of one's imperfections. I do not think a dramatist creates anybody simply out of a real person. The real person only supplies the surface. The character comes from inside yourself, and all of it is a distillation of everything you know up until that moment about a certain kind of situation. But I've also enjoyed writing essays and short stories. Out of many summers I spent as a child at Far Rockaway Beach came I Don't Need You Anymore. And this is part of it. Several times in the previous days, he had been not exactly warned, but instructed in a certain thickly absolute way that God forbade swimming on Friday this week. And this was Friday now. He'd been watching the ocean many times a day. He kept his watch along the curved faces of the breakers for a sign of the bearded sins he knew were floating around in there like seaweed. And for a second now and then, he got a glimpse of them. It was because today and tomorrow were Tisha B'Av or Rosh Hashanah or Yom Kippur, days when everybody got dressed up, and he had to wear this tweed suit and tie and new shoes, and nobody was allowed to eat all day except him, because he was still only 5 and had not had Hebrew lessons yet. His mother had said it was all right if he got into a pair of cotton shorts, but he would not think of taking off his itchy suit. A holiday was a holiday. The ocean went on booming. The beach, white as salt, was deserted. A new strangeness on the ocean scattered his memories. He saw its surface tilting up, Far, far out, a crest was rising as wide as the sea itself, and a new rumbling, deeper than any he had heard before, was beginning to sound. He was not sure suddenly whether he had seen the beard. He remembered seeing it, but he was not sure he had really seen it. He visualized his mother. There was something about her now that was not exactly listening the way she always used to.
Martin!
So that even with her now, he was finding himself having to add things he knew were not true in order to make her really pay attention. Anger against her in him as he paused there, aching to tell her at least about the wave. For him, nothing happened if he couldn't tell it, and lately it was so complicated to tell anything. She glanced out at him and said, "Have a glass of milk." Milk? When his father and his brother were standing right now praying to God in the synagogue with parched lips, yellow with hunger. He did not answer.
Are you all right? Why don't you put your shorts on?
Leave me alone.
Your pop will take a strap to you.
I don't need you anymore.
She didn't need him, so he didn't need her. Out of the corners of his eyes, he saw a movement. A man was there, dressed in black. A terror sucked his tongue an inch back into his throat, but quickly he was relieved. The man was really there, because there were other men standing behind him in a little crowd. He had never seen prayer shawls in open sunlight. He feared for them doing this, as though the roof had been lifted off the synagogue, and God might really appear and not just the scrolls of the Ark. Maybe he should sneak quietly over to Papa and tell him, and then Papa would look up from his book, see where he was, and yell, "What did we do? How did we get out of shul?" And they would all turn around and run back with prayer shawls flying to the synagogue, and then thank him for saving them from having looked into God's naked face. The magical new calm of the ocean sucked at his mind. When no one was looking, God had shot up out of the water with a rush of foam. And when the water had fallen back, the waves flattened out and the sea was at rest. God had waited there until they had thrown in their sins, and he had taken them up with him, leaving the water clean and hairless. He yearned to know what he should do for God, as the others knew. His body stretched as with a mute vow, a pure wish that quickly changed to fact. He now vowed obedience to the sea, the moon, the starry beach, and the sky, and the silence that stretched its emptiness all around him. What exactly its command was, he did not know, but an order was coming to him, and he was grateful, and it made him better, and no longer quite alone. He felt without any sense of the details, that secretly unknown to anyone but known to the night, he was the guardian of Ben's and his parents' innocence. Sinking down, he swam through the deepest sea, and as he came up with the sunlight bursting from his hair, he knew he would astonish everybody.
Is there any suggestion there that Arthur Miller, the boy, getting the idea that he has to protect the world?
Oh, yeah, sure. I think that this is implicit in it. It's not just me, it's anybody who takes on those large duties of defending mankind from itself, or from the moon and the dangers of the cosmos. It's got to come from somewhere, you know, and it's everything we do comes from inside. And it comes from those conflicts which are intolerable and are made into great cosmological solutions.
Have you no sense of decency, sir?
The reception of All My Sons and Death of a Salesman had made the world a friendly place for me. But events of the early 50s quickly turned that warmth into an illusion. It all fell apart with the rise of Joe McCarthy and his merry pranks.
I never could put out of my mind the real villain in the whole thing, which nobody wanted to talk about. And they were the presidents, the congressmen, the judges, the establishment that officiated over this crucifixion. I said, I am opposed to the Smith Act, and I am still opposed to anyone being penalized for advocating anything. I say that because of a very simple reason. I don't believe that in the history of letters there are many great books or great plays that don't advocate. That doesn't mean that a man is a propagandist. It is in the nature of life, and it is in the nature of literature, that the passions of an author congeal around issues. You can go from War and Peace through all the great novels of time, and they are all advocating something. Therefore, when I heard that the United States government wanted to pass a law against the advocacy without any overt action, I was alarmed, because I'm not here defending communists. I'm here defending the right of an author to advocate, to write. I wrote The Crucible, of course, years before I was involved with the Un-American Activities Committee. I can only theorize about this, but I think that they picked me up fundamentally because they figured they'd get publicity at a time when their publicity was dying. I was in the midst of a divorce, and I was going to marry Marilyn. Indeed, the head of the committee, Congressman Wallers, asked my lawyer if he could take a photograph of himself with Marilyn. He would call off the whole hearing. The story of the Salem witchcraft had fascinated me for a long, long time. And the fact that I wrote the story finally as The Crucible was a result, I think, of a similarity that I found not in the political situation, but in the human and psychological situations of both periods. That is to say, the capacity of terror to really shift the human spirit and change people. There is a magic in it, you know. The magic is there, ironically speaking. It isn't the magic that the witch hunter thinks is taking place, but there is a magic in this hot, magical ray of terror being focused on people, and see what happens to the molecular structure of those characters when they are afraid.
The Crucible is about Salem, Massachusetts in 1692. The main line of conflict within John Proctor is that he regards himself as a defective Christian, a sinner, while at the same time is being charged with others for whom he has enormous moral respect. In short, he feels he is not good enough to hang alongside such saints. A crucible is a vessel that is used in metallurgy to boil off the alloys in metal so that what is left is the pure metal. John Proctor's real nature is the issue here.
I have been thinking, Elizabeth, that I would confess to them. What say you if I give them this?
I cannot judge you, John.
What would you have me do?
As you would, I would have it. I want you living, that's sure.
Giles' wife, have she confessed?
She will not.
Cannot mount the gibbet like a saint, Elizabeth. It is a fraud. I'm not that man. My honesty is broke, Elizabeth. I am no good man. Nothing is spoiled by giving them this lie that we're not rotten long before.
And yet you have not confessed till now. That speak goodness in you.
Spite.
only keeps me silent. It is hard to give a lie to dogs. I would have your forgiveness, Elizabeth. What say you?
It come to naught that I should forgive you if you'll not forgive yourself. It is not my soul, John, it is yours. Only be sure of this. Whatever you will do, it is a good man does it.
It has been pointed out to me that every play of mine has a lawyer. I did not plan that consciously. But the law, to me, is a sort of ultimate social statement of a civilization this side of God. There has always been a testing of the law in my plays. I wrote A View from the Bridge in Brooklyn. The story came right off these piers. It is, as the script says, the gullet of America. And these poor people unloaded those ships and loaded them and kept it all going. I had come from Italy not too long before I wrote this play. And it struck me powerfully that nothing had changed from the mythological times of the Tuscan people and the Italian people, which had an entirely different background from this one, which is industrial and rough and without any cultural beauty. And yet the human being carried the seeds of disaster and tragedy in his heart. And they worked it out pretty much as they did before, even though the scenery had changed. They hadn't really. I suppose now maybe, I hope anyway, the new generation is different. But I wonder how much we do change in those respects. You wouldn't have known it, but something amusing has just happened. You see how uneasily they nod to me? That's because I'm a lawyer. In this neighborhood, to meet a lawyer or a priest on the street is unlucky. We're only thought of in connection with disasters, and they'd rather not get too close. I often think that behind that suspicious little nod of theirs lies 3,000 years of distrust. A lawyer means the law, and in Sicily, from where their fathers came, the law has not been a friendly idea since the Greeks were beaten. In those days, Al Capone, the greatest Carthaginian of all, was learning his trade on these pavements, and Frankie Yale himself was cut precisely in half by a machine gun on the corner of Union Street, 2 blocks away. Oh, there were many here who were justly shot by unjust men. Justice is very important here. But this is Red Hook, not Sicily.
I was just telling Beatrice, if you want to go out, I realized maybe I kept you home too much, you know.
Eddie Carbone is unknown to himself, in love with his niece, who lives in the house with he and his wife, and he acts as a great and generous host to his wife's relatives who come illegally over from Italy to work on the docks in New York, and he witnesses one of the 2 immigrants becoming attached to his niece, and out of motives which he partially feels and partially invents, gets indignant that this man whom he gave a bed and board to is now stealing his niece. He ends up informing the Immigration Bureau that these people are illegally in his house in the area. This news is inevitably deduced by everybody involved, and they come and challenge him. It's a mutual challenge. He, in order to defend his good name, challenges them at the same time that he's really trying to commit suicide.
Well, it's nice. They all talk together.
What are you, Katie? Got no brains? Put them up there with 2 other submarines?
Why?
How do you know they're not tracking those guys? They'll come up for them and find Marco and Rodolfo. Get them out of the house.
Get them out of the house? Why?
Why? How do you know what enemies the Paris got, huh? Which they love to stab him in the back.
What'll I do with them?
The neighborhood is full of rooms. Can you stand to live a couple of blocks away from him? Get him out of the house.
Maybe tomorrow.
Not tomorrow. Do it now.
How am I going to find a place for him today?
Will you stop arguing with me and get him out of the house? I never told you nothing in my life that wasn't for your good. Nothing. And look at the way you talk to me, like I was an enemy, like I... Get him out of the house. Go up the fire escape. Go. Over the back fence.
Immigration, open up in there.
Go. Well, what are you looking at?
Immigration, open up.
All right. Take it easy, lady. Take it easy. All right. What street were you born?
What do you mean, what street? Could you tell me what street you were born?
Yeah, 4 blocks from here, 111 Union Street. Now, come on, let's go.
What are you laughing at?
Lady, will you
That
one!
Marco!
I accuse that one! He killed my children. That one, he stole the blood from my children. Clear the way. Yes. I kill you for that, Marco. I apologize to me, Marco. I don't forget that, Marco.
And yet, when the tide is right and the green smell of the sea floats in through my window, the waves of this bay are the waves against Syracuse. And I see a face that suddenly seems carved. The eyes look like tunnels leading back towards some ancestral beach where all of us once lived. And I wonder at those times how much of all of us really lives there yet, and when we will truly have moved on and away from that dark place, that world that has fallen to stones.
Mr. Miller, Miss Monroe, yesterday you didn't know when you were going to get married. Do you know today?
It'll be in July before the 13th.
No definite date has been set.
I haven't got one yet.
Where are you going to be married?
I wish I could tell you at this moment. I'm arranging it. And I can't really tell you right now.
Have you...
I'll let you know that.
I was in California because of a movie which I had written about the waterfront, and I met her there.
Did the Misfits come as a result of knowing her, or was it a story you had?
The Misfits was a short story at first, and it was reflected my experience in Nevada with some cowboys that I used to go with. The story involved the absurdity of the whole hunt for horses when it netted them a few dollars each. It was like a thing one continuously does long after the meaning of it had gone. She has come along on this this roundup of Mustangs with a general notion that they are rounded up, but seeing what they are preparing to do, that is the brutality of the event, changes her attitude toward Gay, the cowboy, and she feeling revulsion against him and his cruelty, and he is trying to tell her that that's the way the world is, and that the meaning of this chase has changed over the years. Indeed now these horses are used for dog food and are put into a can. He, again, is trying to rationalize what he knows is disgusting. But he's trapped in it because that's all he knows how to do, and it represents in an ironical way his freedom. The alternative being that he work for wages somewhere and die inside. From his point of view, his very manhood and his life and the poetry of his life depends upon continuing this kind of absolutely senseless destruction of these animals.
Honey, I just round them up and sell them to the dealer, always have. Well, there's no need to look at me that way. Now you're looking at me like I was a stranger. Honey.
I thought they were used for riding or for...
Well, sure, they used to be. Well, like Christmas presents for kids, because they're small horses, you see. Kids love them for Christmas. But kids ride motor scooters now. They're real strong horses, though. Little as they are. They used to breed to them for stamina. Why? There was Mustang blood pulling all the plows in the West. They couldn't have settled here unless somebody caught Mustang for them. Somehow or other, it all got changed around. See, I'm doing the same thing I always did. It's just that they changed it around.
But you know what you're doing isn't right, don't you? You know that.
Honey, if I didn't do it, somebody else would.
I don't care about the others.
You bought food for my dog, haven't you? What do you think was in those cans?
I don't want to hear it.
Honey, nothing can live unless something dies.
Oh, stop.
Rosalind, we never kidded, you and I. Now, I'm telling you, I don't want to lose you. But you gotta help me a little bit, though, because I can't put on that this is all as bad as you make it. All I know is everything else is wages. I hunt these horses to keep myself free, so I'm a free man. That's why you like me, isn't it?
I liked you because you were kind.
I haven't changed.
Yes, this changes it.
Honey, a kind man can kill.
No, he can't.
Well, if it's bad, maybe you have to take a little of the bad with the good, else you'll be running for the rest of your life.
What is there to stop for? You're just like everybody else.
Yeah, sure. Maybe we're all alike, including you. We start out doing something, meaning no harm, something that's naturally in us to do. But somewhere along the line, it gets changed around into something bad. Like dancing in a nightclub. You started out just wanting to dance, didn't you? But little by little, it turns out that people ain't interested in how good you dance. They're squawking at you with something entirely different in their minds. And they turn us sour, don't they? I gotta look down my nose at you, too. Showing yourself off in a nightclub for so much a night. But I took my hat off to you, because I know the difference. This is how I dance, Rosalind. And if they make something else out of it, well, I can't run the world any more than you could.
You took your hat off to me. You mean it, don't you, Kate?
She wants stability. She wants things not to change. She wants to rely on people. While at the same time, she is terribly suspicious of them. and will probe until she discovers that point at which they will turn against her, that point of unreliability. His viewpoint is, yes, indeed, that's true. That is life. Life is unreliable. But in order to live, you have to accept and even embrace the tension between expectations, which must never be lost, and their disappointment, which is inevitable. She's saying that everybody disappoints you, but that there's always somebody in the offing who won't. And it is interesting that Gable and she, off film and on, were exemplified both those positions, because he certainly lived a life of enormous vigor and expectation, at the same time that he was almost totally skeptical about it, practically everything.
And she wasn't?
Well, that's the contradiction. She couldn't believe in anything. She believed in everything. There is a magic, a charisma about people that is inexplicable. It's beyond any analysis.
Dog shivering.
He'll do that up here.
They're all dead now. I was here, of course. I hadn't seen her in a long time, and I didn't know anything about the way she was feeling or what she was doing. And it just seemed to me such a monstrous waste that she should be gone that way. Because she was in a terrific struggle for herself, and I always felt it was an accident. I really didn't think she was always playing with suicide, of course. She was getting as close to the edge as she could, but I can't believe she really went over voluntarily. She needed a little luck, not even a lot, just a little, to keep her that day, but she didn't have it. I guess she was the original, all the ones who declared a kind of free soul, and at the same time, ironically enough, were suffering a kind of depression within, even as they were declaring that freedom and acting it out. And she was literally herself, for all the good and bad that she felt. She was acting it out. She was being upfront what she really felt like. And that was a new style. She was bound down by innumerable weights and possessions she wanted to get rid of, but couldn't. I mean, that things possessed her that she couldn't disengage from. She was quite the opposite of free soul. It was inevitable, obviously, because it happened. But a little blessing would have deflected it, maybe.
The Misfits, of course, led to After the Fall. At the time it came out, there was a lot of talk that it was very autobiographical.
Well, it's neither more nor less than any of my other work, is the only answer I can give. Well, all my work is. If I could write really about stuff that never went through me, I would probably write a play every 2 months, which some people can do instantly. Or yes, not 2 months, but let's say 3 a year or 2 a year, something like that. I can think of innumerable terrific subjects, but I had no real, I didn't live them. Somebody else lived them, and it's not my business to write about them.
After the Fall is a trial. The trial of a man by his own conscience, his own values, his own deeds.
I just want to walk.
Okay.
You can't take pills on top of whiskey. Now, that's exactly what happened the last time. And it's not going to happen again. Never.
Maggie is a character in a play about the human animal's unwillingness or inability to discover in himself the seeds of his own destruction.
Why do you wear those pants? Now, I told you the seat's too tight.
Well, they made the seat too tight, but I can still walk in them.
Fags wear pants like that.
Oh, what a hell of a way to reassure yourself.
I'm allowed to say what I see.
Are you trying to get me to throw you out? Is that it? Is that what you want? So life can be real again?
What's that supposed to be? Strong and silent. What is it? Oh.
And I'm supposed to walk out now, huh? You know where you are, hmm? Is that what you want?
What's the angle? Why don't you beat it? You're gonna wait till I'm old? Or what? You know what another cab driver said to me today? I'll give you $50. You know what's $50 to a cab driver? Oh, go ahead! You go. You want dancing? You want dancing? What do you want here?
If that there is love, it must be limitless. I love that girl. And the name, yes, the name. In whose name do you ever turn your back but in your own? In Quentin's name. Always in your own blood-covered name do you turn your back.
No one is innocent. They didn't kill.
But love. Is love enough? When you know how to kill? Or is it possible that this is not bizarre and that I'm not alone, that no one lives who would not rather be the sole survivor of this place than all its finest victims? Who can be innocent again on this mountain of skulls?
But what will defend her? That woman hopes. Or is that exactly why she hopes? Because she knows what burning cities taught her and the death of love taught me, that we are very dangerous. And that's why I wake each morning like a boy, even now. Even now, I swear to you, there's something in me that could dare to love this world again. Is the knowing all? To know, and even happily, that we meet unblessed, not in some garden of wax fruit and painted trees, that lie of Eden, but after the fall, after many, many deaths. Is the knowing all? And the wish to kill is never killed, but with some gift of courage, one may look into its face when it appears, and with a stroke of love as to an idiot in the house, forgive it again and again, forever. This is about a fellow named Bob Tracy, some of whose life I wrote about in the Country, a book with photographs by my wife Inga and text by me. And I'll read a little from it. One day, early in our acquaintance, when Bob was helping me to set posts for a fence around the new vegetable garden, he said, "I hear you write movies." "Not movies, plays for the stage," I said. "Oh, those old-fashioned shows. Where you put them on?" "New York." "Well, now, I didn't know they still had them." Talking of war one day, he was reminded of Ben Fitzer. Fitzer was in his 90s, a farmer in this secluded valley who rarely even came into town. But this one time, said Bob, he come in for some reason, and this fella come over to him and says, "Isn't it awful, all those men killing each other by the millions?" Well, it was the first beautiful day of spring, and old Fitzer says, "What do you mean, killing each other?" And the fella says, "Over in Europe, Ben. There's a terrible big war going on over there." "Well," says Fitzer, "they got a nice day for it." The theme of Vincent of Vichy reflects after the fall. It's a question of responsibility. It is almost like a continuous play because the themes are locked in together very tightly. Excepting that in the Incident of Vichy, the story is different, but the theme is carried forward. Let me put it this way. You know, Camus in The Fall, a novel he wrote, asked the question about the responsibility of this lawyer who, that is, this sets off the story, who happened to be walking down a street in Amsterdam and heard a girl falling into the water and didn't turn to save her. And here's a lawyer with certain pretensions to being a public conscience. He's a judge, a moral judge. Or as he is now, a judge penitent, that is, a judge who regrets being a judge. After the Fall refers to that in a way. And Vichy does too.
Inside.
The story of Incident of Vichy concerns the question of social and moral responsibility for others. And rather, I'm looking at it in all these cases as a psychological entity. People like to believe that only all the bad guys are on the bad side and the good guys are on the good side. The real horror of the situation is, as a nobleman puts it, that this unfortunately isn't the case. That fascism was able to engage the loyalties of all kinds of people, including some good people.
Would like to be able to part with your friendship. Is that possible?
I owe you the truth, Prince. You won't believe this now, but you're a decent man, and you should take something away from this atrocity. Each man has his Jew. It is the other. And the Jews have their Jews. And now, above all, you must see that you have yours. The man whose death leaves you relieved that you are not him, despite your decency. And that is why there is nothing, and will be nothing, until you accept your own complicity in this, your own humanity.
I deny that. I deny that absolutely. I have never spoken one word against your people. Is that your implication? That I have something to do with this monstrousness?
Prince, you asked me before if I knew your cousin, Baron Kessler. Baron Kessler is a Nazi. He helped to remove all the Jewish doctors from the medical school. You were aware of that, weren't you? You must have heard that at some time or other, didn't you?
Yes, I heard it. But I had forgotten it. You see, he was...
Your cousin. I understand. In any case, it's only a small part of Baron Kessler to you, but it is all of Baron Kessler to me. And when you said his name, it was with love. And I'm sure he must be a man of some kindness with whom you can see eye to eye in many things. But when I hear that name, I see a knife. You see now why there is nothing and will be nothing when even you cannot put yourself in my place. Even you. And that's why your thoughts of suicide don't move me. Because it's not your guilt I want. It's your responsibility. That might have helped. If you had understood that Baron Kessler was in part, some small but frightful part, doing your will, you might have done something then. With your name and your standing and your decency. Aside from shooting yourself.
What can ever save us?
Next.
Come inside. Empty leg.
Each of these men is taken in turn, and finally, the nobleman's time has come, is able to escape because he isn't Jewish, and it's obvious. By this time in the play, his despair has reached a point where it has turned itself over. And it's his hope is that he can, by virtue of an act of enormous heroism, sustain his idea of civilization. And he offers to give his and does give his pass to freedom to the psychiatrist, who is Jewish and would probably not be able to pass through the screen and escape. And in doing that, he has confronted the Nazi officer with the most frightful resistance that the Nazi can imagine, and that is one of their own, refusing to accept the degradation that they have imposed on everybody.
What will happen to you? Go. You don't owe me this. I didn't ask you for this.
Go, go.
It is one man making the difference, yes. That can happen. We've had that experience quite often in the last few years when some of our people have been shot down, leaders, and it certainly made a difference. I'm talking about Kennedys and so on. And in this case, it does make a difference, yes.
The stage is a place for ideas, of course. But I've also felt the need as an artist to be involved personally. I was president of PEN, an international organization for poets and writers, for 4 years. And one of the jobs PEN does is to try to help writers in prison in other countries. I've done a lot of traveling as an observer and a reporter of sorts. I remember in Tolstoy's house, I had the feeling that he was in every way like other men, excepting that he was trying to slip out of his skin to enter the arena with God, of whom he would like to ask certain questions. In my house are items I prize from my artist friends. This is a funny camera made of a block of wood for my wife Inga by Saul Steinberg. Below it is our wedding certificate, also by him. It's all heavenly handwriting, gibberish, except for our names. That circular piece of wood from Saul Steinberg represents a cheese given to me on my birthday. That's one of Sandy Calder's discoveries. It's a plant digger. These are just two of the many marvelous pictures from Robert Osborne and a painting by Calder. I enjoy the relaxation of making my own furniture. I've never been able to part with old things. The play, The Price, is set in the surroundings of old things. I suppose it's about love and responsibility. It's about remembrance and the price of decisions. There are two kinds of forces. One is a devotion to rules and duty, and the other is an aggressive force, unsatisfied with anything as it exists. The question is making a judgment. Solomon is a dealer in old furniture and a collector of lives.
How do I know where I am? You see, it's also this particular furniture. The average person, he'd take one look, it'll make him very nervous. Because he knows it's never going to break. My boy, you don't know the psychology. If it wouldn't break, there's no more possibilities. You take this table. Listen. You can't move it. A man sits down to such a table, he knows not only he's married, he's got to stay married. There's no more possibilities. You're laughing. I'm telling you the factual situation. What is the key word today? Huh? Disposable. The more you can throw it away, the more it's beautiful. The car, the furniture, the wife, the children, everything has to be disposable. Because you see, the main thing today is shopping. Years ago, a person, he was unhappy, didn't know what to do with himself. Go to church, start a revolution, something. Today, you're unhappy. Can't figure it out. What is the salvation? Go shopping. I'm telling you the truth. If they would close the stores for 6 months, in this country, there would be, from coast to coast, a regular massacre. With furniture like this, the shopping is over. It's finished. There's no more possibilities. You got it? You see? So you got a problem here. Mister, I pity you. What is the matter with you people? Nothing in the world. You believe nothing, you respect. How can you live? You think that's such a smart thing? That's so hard what you're doing. Let me give you a piece of advice. It's not that you can't believe nothing. That's not so hard. It's that you still got to believe it. That's hard. And if you can't do that, my friend, you're a dead man.
Each one pays his price for being what he is. And that's as much as anybody can say about it, even though everybody wants to cure the situation. The old man understands this very well. And he knows that there is nothing they can do about it. And that the object is to embrace life rather than to try to ameliorate this situation.
Do you think that there's still within you another death of a salesman?
I don't think in those terms. I take it day to day. It's, I think there's more than I ever had. I feel that.
Summing up, has Arthur Miller paid a price?
Yeah, the price is that you are stuck at a task which never leaves you. You're never satisfied. And a lot of people are satisfied. They feel they've accomplished great things. I never do. and I don't know of a writer who really does, a real one. It's always, you're always renewing your resolution to do something really good. And I suppose that goes on to the last minute. But, so that's a price you pay. It's endless, endless frustration with a few moments of immense pleasure at a structure that has stood instead of collapsing. But if you count them, you can count them in a lifetime. And there aren't that many. So that's a price I think you pay.
So each man pays his price. This is the life of a playwright. In his own words, Arthur Miller has shown us his home ground, making it our common ground for each of us to share.
Coming up next, Signed Original features a profile of Frances Stilloff, a 97-year-old woman who founded and sustained the legendary Gotham Book Mart, a mecca for the literary avant-garde in New York City for over 60 years.